Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you for coming back for week number 3. This is block number 2 of our tree farm sew along. So today we're going to be making the wagon. Come on. Alright everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be working on our wagon section. So first, we're going to be working on our trees. Then we're going to do the side of the wagon, and then we're going to do the wheels. So in order to do our trees, we're going to need this, and this, and this. Okay. Let me move this over. So this is going to be our tree trunk. And then this will be our bottom branch of our tree and the top branch of our tree. Now, when we put our background fabric onto our triangular tree, we're going to I had that turned wrong. Okay. When you cut your pieces out, you have a left side and a right side. Now, this particular tree, when we cut out our background fabric, we have this little edge right here. This is going to go at the bottom of our tree. So when we stitch them on, we're going to match our little points up here at the top, but at the bottom, it's going to match up at the bottom right along that edge. We're going to make sure everything's lined up on the side and stitch 1/4 of an inch all the way down. Then we're going to open it up at our left side on, get everything matched up, and stitch 1/4 of an inch on this side and press them open, and that's the top of our tree. That's going to be our tree top. For our bottom tree branch, we're going to take our background pieces and right sides together. We're going to take our little cutoff piece and add it to the top of our tree up here, and our points are going to match up. So when we open this up, we're pretty much going to have a straight line across the top. And for our tree trunk, we're going to turn right sides together, stitch using 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and taking this side and stitching 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. We're going to add the top part of our tree to the middle part to the tree trunk. Again, once we get this stitched, we're going to fold up and we're going to stitch across using 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. We're going to take our tree trunk fold up, stitch across using 1/4 inch seam allowance, and you will have your trees. We're going to make 3 of them. We're going to add our side edges right here, and in between each tree section you're going to add your sashing. Then we're going to move on to the side of our wagon. Alright, let's look at our heart, the side of our wagon with our 2 hearts. When you lay everything out, you're going to have 4 pieces of your green. And for each green, you're going to have 2 stitch and flip corners, which are going to be your corners right here. So we're going to take both of these, turn them over, draw a line down the center, and we're going to stitch on those lines. We're going to fold them up and trim. Then we're going to have our bottom stitch and flip corner. So we're going to take this, draw a line down the center. Here's where you have to pay attention. All 4 of this top part is created the exact same way. You have 2 stitch and flip corners, 2 stitch and flip corners, 2 stitch and flip corners, and 2 stitch and flip corners. But the bottoms are going to go in the opposite direction. That's what makes your heart. So for this half of your heart, you're going to draw your line . Let me just show you. You're going to draw your line and you're going to place it from outside in for this particular half of your heart and for this half of your heart. When you do this half, you're going to turn it. So when you stitch on the line and fold it, it's going to be outward. But we're going to turn it this direction for this half of your heart. So we're going to, let me go ahead. Now these top, they're going from the inside out on all 4 pieces. So we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to stitch on the line, fold up, press, and trim. Next we're going to take this and we're going to stitch on the line, fold, and trim, depending on which half of the heart you're working on. Once we get that finished, we're going to add all 3 sections and our top to our wagon. Everything uses 1/4 inch seam allowance. Adding this to our heart section, we're going to be using 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. All right, we've got both halves of our heart stitched together. So now, matching right here and right here at the bottom, we're going to fold these over, and we're going to do the best we can at matching these. You do you. Again, there's no quilt police in my house. We have a nosy cat, but there's no quilt police in my house. So I'm going to put a pin right there where they meet up. And you know what? I didn't trim that off. Hold on. Okay. So now I'm going to match these back up. I'm going to put a pin right there. I'm going to actually pin right here. Even though I'm going to be stitching right here, this pin stays out of the way of my foot, and it allows me to get lined up and ready, but still holding everything in place. And the same thing down here. I'm going to put a pin down here at the bottom. So that it will allow me to stitch all the way down and not be in the way of that pin. And it's up to you if you want to add another one right here and then just take that one out. You do you. I'm going to go stitch this down, and then we will put all of our heart section together. Take my pins out and let's see what happened. Yay! I'm happy with those points. They're a smidgen off, but y'all, it is okay in my book. So I'm going to go press this down, and we'll put all of our hearts together. All right, I've got that all pressed down. Set it under my clapper for a minute. I'm going to trim these threads. Put them in my little thread jar. Did y'all see my jar, how it turned out? I'm very happy with that. I'm going to take a bee and add it to this side. Then we're going to take our C. You are such a helper, let me tell you. And add another bee. I'm going to add the bee to the end here, stitching down using the same 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to stitch this on, and then stitch this on, and then put them all together right there. So I'm going to take all this to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch this into a big long row. we have our hearts all pressed and ready to go. Now we're going to add our letter E to the very top. Now I am going to pin this. Most of the time I don't pin, but I am going to pin at these seams because I want them to make sure and lay the right way. Alright, now we're going to go stitch this together. We have the top part finished of our wagon. So now our trees are finished. Our actual side of our wagon is finished. Now we're just going to do the bottom wheels. For our wheels, I have already put one together. We are going to take and we're going to snowball these corners, corner square triangles, flip and stitch, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to draw a line on the back of these squares and the back of our bottom of our wheels, and we're going to snowball these to the top and the bottom. And then our centerpiece across here, we're just going to stitch straight down using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then straight down right here. All right, I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch along those lines. I'm going to take this and we're going to stitch along these lines. And I'm going to go ahead and take this little section with me too and stitch straight down and over here. I'm going to put a pin in these. Because I don't want it to, I don't want to lose my direction. And then I'll take all these. While I'm over there, I'm also going to take this little piece. This is going to be attached to the side of our wheel. So I'm going to add this. And I'm just going to pin on the side that I need to stitch down. So on this one, we're going to match those up, and we're just going to stitch a 1/4 inch right there. And also, I'm going to take the bottom, the under our wheel section, and go ahead and stitch those together also. Okay, I've got quite a bit of things to stitch over here. So what I'm going to do to try and save time and thread and everything, is I'm going to start with my stitch and flip corners. I'm going to do one, then another one, then I'm going to run some of the other stuff through. That way I can trim these off and stitch the other ends, hopefully without ever having to stop and cut my thread. While we have all of that under the clappers for the moment, we're going to stitch, and then we'll bring it over to the side. Don't want to bother our little precious thing right there. We have one piece that's going to go down the side of our whole wheel block. So we're going to take our CCC and we're going to add our G to it. We're going to stitch that, and then we're going to add the EEE to here. I'm going to go stitch this. All right, I've got everything pressed, and my friend went to the other room, so we're going to get everything we can get done. All right. Oh, I see her. Here she comes back. All right, we're going to actually put our wheel together. So here's our centerpiece. We're going to take the bottom and the top, and we're going to stitch those together, just like over here. Then I'm going to add this piece, just like I did here. So I'm going to take this to the machine and stitch this together, and then be back. Now I'm going to press this down. All right, that's finished. Now we're going to take this centerpiece and we're going to add our wheels to both ends of it. Oh no, did you see what I did? I'm going to take this part out because it needs to go onto this side. All right, we got that fixed. We've got everything stitched together the right way. So we're going to take our wheel section and then we're going to take our heart, the side of our wagon, and we're going to stitch this together using a 1/4 inch seam. And then we're going to add our trees. We're going to stitch these together using a 1/4 inch seam. And then we're going to add our side over here using a 1/4 inch seam. Then we're going to add our bottom piece and our top little sashing piece. So I'm going to take all this to the sewing machine and we're going to put it all together. All right, y'all, there we have our wagon block. This is week number 3, block number 2 in our sew along. So join me next week where we work on the large trees that go on this whole row. So I'm going to go ahead and show you real fast. Here's the wagon, and it's going to attach to our tractor like this. Is that not going to be the cutest thing? So come back next week and we will work on our large trees. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss another video of our sew along. Thanks for watching.